the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
Next up here, I thought this was something I've been thinking about a lot this week. Here with an offseason. I think it would be a fun offseason football topic, fellas. Joe, you're the youngest of us, so I feel like your answer might be different than Caleb and I's here. But in your estimation, where does Hendon Hooker rank in quarterbacks for Tennessee since Peyton Manning? Where does he stack up for you?
Well, Tyler Bray's got
Tyler Bray's
gunslinger.
I mean, I think there's a lot of young bias. And obviously, it's a determined question whether you just mean legacy at UT or just skilled quarterback. Wait, so Peyton's one, and then we're looking
we'll just
number
take
two,
since
two on.
So
yeah,
T. Martin to now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 3. I'll give Clausen the nod.
Okay.
Big Iceman guy.
Yeah, and
he's learned from the best.
Yeah, and I was gonna say I think
that makes me feel like a proud father.
Exactly.
Your kids say I hate the sports team you hate for the first time. I'm like, yeah, learn to them well.
Oh, you want to you want to get in with some Tennessee fan lifelongers, be like, Casey Clausen was so underrated and underappreciated. They're like, oh, that's what I've always said. It's just one of those great ones where they're like, Casey Clausen was underrated.
That's a good point, Chase, because a lot of those fans that might say that, they hated him then.
Oh, 100%. They feel bad. There's part of it now with Jarrett Garantano where there's now a flip where it's like, oh, if Jarrett Garantano got in this offense, it would have been different. And I don't know.
It's a stupid comment.
I don't know. I could talk myself into Jarrett Garantano if he came in as a true freshman and was just with Josh Heupel for 4 years. I don't know how it goes. I think it's fair.
If I say
seems like a great kid,
I'm putting a lot more faith in. I have no knock on. I feel for him. The situation he was put into at Tennessee sucks. But
4 coordinators in 4 years, right?
Yes, brutal and a terrible situation. If I agree with that, I'm probably putting more stock into Josh Heupel as a developer than the quarterback, whoever it may be, themselves. I watched Jarrett Garantano play. I watched his high moments and I watched the low moments and whatever happened in between. And the high moments were high. They were fun, but there were not a lot of them, and they weren't super high either. So, that team was just not great. But he had some talent. I mean, he had Callaway to throw to. He had
Josh Palmer.
He did have Palmer. That's right. He had Juwan Jennings. Man, big what if we don't talk about enough. Tyler Bird.
Yeah.
Big what if. I think he was on an NFL roster for a little bit, but.
Let's remember some guys. This is some classic. Let's just remember some guys. Situation we just say names, Tennessee names. Remember so and so. Yeah.
I thought about John Kelly Jr., who was on a Jarrett Garantano team. Thought about him yesterday because I was cleaning up the Instagram followers. You follow too many people, and he was one of them. I did not unfollow him. I stayed with him. But
he made the cut.
Wasn't cleaning that one up.
I've got a crazy John Kelly Jr. stat, and I won't find it. I'm trying to do the math on who it would be, but they play at the same time, and it made me feel like 10 years has passed and no. It was obviously Todd Kelly's last year and whoever it was last season or first season, but me and my roommate were just throwing out names, and I was like, I went back to the roster and checked, and I was like, there's no way these dudes were on the same roster. I'll find it at some point and send it to y'all.
John Kelly only really played significant. He only started as a senior, or I guess a junior. He might have left a year early, but his last year at Tennessee. So we didn't get much of him.
Before I give mine, where do you have Hooker ranked, Caleb?
I would like to go 2 below Casey Clausen.
You mean 3?
I would like to go 2. I would love to go 2.
Okay.
Below Casey Clausen. I think I have to go 3 because I value a national championship that much. And
really?
I do. Especially in college football where it's just Nick Saban lied to the general public and made it look super easy to win national championships. I think Kirby Smart is a shining example of that. He has the best roster. He's obviously an incredibly talented coach. He won Saban a lot of those titles. And yet he can't do it year after year after year like Saban was able to. So I think there was a little bit of fraudulent how easy it looked for him. And when you can win, I talked about this with a Kentucky fan the other night talking about basketball. I was like, I get Kentucky's infatuation with John Calipari because if you win a national championship, it buys you years. I don't know how many exactly, but it buys you years. And in my mind, it buys T. Martin legacy. And it's just really – it's going to be hard for me to not say he's one of the top two when that's a dude who won a national championship for Tennessee. The last undefeated season in Tennessee history. It's just a tough one. Casey won in the Swamp twice. I love Casey. Casey Clausen was my favorite quarterback growing up, Chase. So he's going number one for me always. I mean, I'll start to argue about Peyton Manning because of the wins in the Swamp.
14-1 on the road.
I will start to argue it. I always put Peyton up there. Peyton's Peyton. I mean, come on. But I'll trick myself a little bit. So I think I put Hendon at 3. Maybe it's a 2A, 2B situation.
That's fair. I'm putting Hendon too. I think Hendon, you appreciate him more and more over the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people look at like, you just thought you were going to replace Jalen Hyatt and Cedric Tillman, and it would just, this offense would just replace itself. I think if you gave last year's defense with 2022 Tennessee's offense, that's the best team in the country. That's a team that can win a national title. And I hate that we didn't get that combination of Hendon was just a little bit too early in terms of the rebuild defensively for Tennessee. And he was so good. And outside of the Georgia game where it was not his fault, like he's doing the one-step drop and Jalen Carter's in the backfield. Like they're doubling Jalen Carter and he's just there and just wrecking havoc. And receivers weren't getting open. They weren't handling UGA's press man, and they haven't all 4 years under Heupel. But Hendon Hooker, I think you go through the Dobbs era. Like he would have thrived in the Dobbs era at Tennessee. I think he would have thrived in the early 2000s. I think he would have thrived in T. Martin's role in 98 on the national title team. I look at it in like different eras where I think Hendon Hooker would have been an elite Tennessee quarterback in so many different eras. And I just think him as a leader was just like, that dude was just kind of like that.
Let me see T. Martin in this offense. That deep ball, buddy.
It wasn't as accurate. Hendon was accurate. Hendon was an efficient assassin. Like Hendon was just at a level of efficiency we haven't seen since Peyton.
That wasn't a nod to T. Martin over Hendon necessarily, but that deep ball, buddy, Peerless Price didn't score all those touchdowns by himself.
Yeah.
I mean,
T had a great year. T's there. NFL quarterback for a little bit, too. I don't think you can go wrong here. I think Hendon was special. And
agreed.
It's
escapability.
Like he was just so smart, and he was so good at diagnosing. Like he knew when to take off. He knew when to throw it away. He knew he had a pretty deep ball. It wasn't the best arm. It was kind of like the Stetson Bennett, where it's like he didn't have the strongest arm ever, but it was accurate. Like he was so accurate downfield. He just clicked all the right buttons.
Yeah, where Nico really struggles, those deep balls, 10 plus outside the hashes, he hit on every time. Or felt like every time, I should say. I need Madden or NCAA, the newest iterations of the video games, to create a quarterback rating. One of acceleration. You have acceleration, broken tackle, agility, all those, and I need them combined into one because you can have all those, but then there's just this there's this escapability that Hendon Hooker had, that Josh Dobbs had, not quite as good as Hendon, but where they're wrapped up for a sack by 1, 2, looks like 3 guys, and then they have a gain of 25, and it makes no sense. And I mean, when you start talking about that, it brings back good memories of Hendon Hooker. Like I said, if the dude wins a national championship, he's probably, again, I'm probably arguing against Peyton. I mean, just the winning he did. I love Hendon Hooker. He's up there for me for sure.
No wrong answer. I think that Tennessee looks at like they're. Oh yeah.
I just want you talked about the 2022 offense and 2024 defense. Is it just the talent, or do we? Because how does that play calling add up? Tennessee obviously slowed the game down a lot. They relied on their defense. Can Tennessee's defense maintain the stature it had this past year, with the 2022 offensive pace? Can that offense? I think they can. They're so talented. I think they can slow it down when they need to. But I think that brings in interesting balance. Like, are they as lethal if they slow it down? Is that defense as lethal when they're on the field so often? Obviously, talent-wise, that elevates both sides of the football, and you have that right out of the gate. But it'd be interesting to balance those teams out and see how well each side of the ball does.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas Podcast. Hell yeah.